It will prepare in few minutes. And yeah, we are on live. So I'm going to introduce and opening this broadcast. So hello everyone. This is the first broadcast of Cafe Kültür. This series called Farm to the Cup Meetings. And in this series, I will bring together the farmers which produce the coffee drink by hours and create a knowledge sharing environment. And also broadcast is live on YouTube so that those who cannot attend and can watch it now or later. Our first guest is my dear friends, Marysabel and Moises. In past years, they won the Cup of Excellence and with their Gershalot, and also produced the coffees you are drinking, Caballero 5 and Caballero Lataneri Natural. So how are you, Marysabel and Moises?
Very good.
Very good.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk with you, to all of you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's an honor to meeting you again after 1.5 years. How is everything in Honduras right now?
Everything is going good. And for us in the farms are good. As we were talking about the rains have been coming very nice, very good as we expected. Even that in another part of Honduras is a lot of rain, but at the mountains where we live are good for the coffee. But in general, I think it's good.
Nice.
We have to be always positive.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how are you, Moises? It's the first time meeting you face to face.
Yes. Yeah, I say I am good. We are good. And Honduras, like in the new normally, because with everything with this pandemic changed a lot. But in terms of the farms, everything is good. We already finished to ship coffees for the last crop. And now we are working in the farms, take care the farms, preparing for the next crop. Like will be arrive very soon, like in 3 months. We start the new crop. But in general, like Marysabel say, everything is good.
Nice. So I'm going to questions. First 3 questions of mine. First one is, most of our consumers know you and know your coffees from my competitions. I brew your geisha production since 2017 Turkish Brewers Cup, thanks to Tim Mandelboy and his team. But would you introduce yourself a little bit?
Okay, I will start. My name is Marysabel Caballero, and with Moises, we run Finca El Puente. I am wife and mother of 2 kids, and I can tell you that I am a fourth generation of coffee producer. So I have been in coffee all my life, and I hope to die working in coffee too.
Yeah, my name is, like I said, Moises Herrera. Originally, I'm from Guatemala, but in 1992 I moved to Honduras, and in Honduras started to produce coffee, and since 1996 we got married with Marysabel, and then together we run Finca El Puente. and Finca El Puente is the farm like we work.
Nice. The second question is, I roast 2 different coffees from your farms. One of is Latanairi, Catuai natural. It's a really beautiful coffee. And other one is Caballero Lot 5. It's a washed Catuai. Both of our Catuais, but they have different flavors. When I roast 2 of them, Latanairi tastes like nectarine, peach, and strawberry and blueberry. And wash one tastes like hints of lemon, jasmine tea, green tea, and herbal tea. Would you tell us the whole production of process of these coffees?
Yeah. In one way, you are very lucky to try in this year the Tanairi, because the Tanairi coffee is a new project. Because in the last 4 years, 50 years, this farm was managed for Marysabel's father, Don Fabio. But in this year, we have a deal with him, and we start to manage, and we bought this farm from Don Fabio, and then we start to process the coffee in this area. And you are very lucky because it's the first year we promote this coffee in the world. And the other lots, and then normally, or before 5 years ago, normally we like to work the coffees in a wash way. And we have our farm is around 200 hectares. And one of the difference between the farms in Honduras compared with Brazil, Guatemala, or in another place is even we have 200 hectares, but the farm is not together. We have different lots. We have more 30 different lots. And in some way, it's not the perfect way because we need to move one lot to buy another. But in another way, it's good because every lot have his own characteristic because it's located in the same region, but have different flavors, different environment. Sometimes depend how they are located in terms the face to the sun, or the type of the shade the coffee have, or the variety. And then we look this like a vintage because we look like it will be good to promote every lots by self. And of course, sometimes we have the blend too, but we prefer to work small lots by every single lot. And then this is the way we work. And since 5 years ago, the market pushed us to start to work and to try to process natural coffee. And then when because in the place we live, we have a lot of rain when the crop is. And then we try to process some coffees in a natural way. And in this year, we choose the Tanairi for one specific lot to try in natural way.
You know, when, as Moises is telling, I was remember at the beginning, for us was like a problem to have different lots in different parts, not together, all the lots. But when we started to work with specialty coffee, we saw, like Moises said, as an advantage. Now we can pick, process every lot separate. And in that moment, we figure out that the coffee is not the same, even that they are close. But as Moises said, some lot, they have different position to the sun. It has different microclimate. It's amazing how is the coffee that even that they are near one farm from each other, they are different. And talking with the natural, Moises always is the person that he loves to work wash coffee all the time. But when when some roasters start to ask us about natural, I was telling Moises, please work some natural. But Moises, he's like he likes diligent. He's very diligent in everything that he does. And he said, no, to work with natural is not easy. It has to have a lot of work and look a lot the coffee in every day. And I say, but just try a little. And he did some small lot, and we gave to some roaster, a little to some roaster, but the next year was amazing. He works much more. But you know, the process that he does in the natural coffee is very like the first days he dry on the with the sun. Then he moved to shade to the second layer of the African beds in shade, and then to finish the coffee he moved down the African bed that is down, no, the top, the down. So it takes a lot of work, the natural coffee, but it is good.
Yeah, definitely. You were the best, actually. Last year, we met again at Instagram with Marysabel, and Marysabel said to me, when the Moises make the naturals, he said, when I make the natural coffees, I make the best ones. And the Latiner is really best of the ones.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I admire him because he always is working very good.
Definitely. I'm going to pass second question. Third question. How was your last harvest seasons, and what were the differences compared to previous years?
You know, normal in coffee we say every season is different in many ways, but especially some like that have more effect in our work is the weather, because sometimes we have more rain or less rain in the season of picking and processing. And then every year, single year are totally different. And then the one thing is like we try to manage that difference in some ways. And but in the last 2 years or 1 year and a half, when I introduce, I say the pandemic changed a lot of our life, because you know, in our area, we need to work with a lot of people, because in pickers, sometimes we need to have 200 pickers. And then for us was a challenge to try to manage because we need to take care the health of everyone in the farm. Then was a little different. It's a new challenge. The same in terms of in the mill and working in the mill. But probably one of the biggest challenge in the 2 seasons before was how we need to send how we need to look the best way to send the coffee to the different countries, because now the people start to talk more about the container crisis, because it's very difficult to try to find a space, one containers in the ship to send the coffee and everywhere, because this is sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes in some place like we need to send the coffee before take 30 days, now took 3 months if you are lucky. And the other is like the cost. In terms of the cost, everything is more expensive. And for example, we depend in the agriculture. In our countries, we depend a lot of the fertilizer. And the fertilizer in the last 2 years, the price increased like a 40% more. And almost everything like we need in a coffee production, we need to import. Then it's a big problem because everything is more expensive now. But we try to manage and we try to maintain, because our focus is maintain always the quality. And sometimes we need to make effort for try to maintain the same quality every year.
And one thing that we learned in these 2 years was to send samples, because always we have the visit of our people that come to cup the coffee and to choose. But these 2 years, the last year we have some, but then to the other people we have to send samples. So it's another way to work. It's another learning that we have to know now. So I think that one is one of the big difference too, to send samples, to work with that, to like manage the samples.
We can say like we need to learn more about the logistic.
More than
because
logistic.
Now we need to modify the logistic like we work.
Before.
Usually in Turkey, we usually order the samples to Turkey because it's hard to going to any countries in Turkey because our economics is not so good, actually. Because of that, we used to it for many years. Yeah.
So you work with samples.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to pass our consumer's question. And this one is very short question. Do you grow any organic coffees? This is from my friend Said.
Yeah, we have like organic. We have one lot, just one lot. Like we work like a fully organic, but the issue in this is we don't have the certificate like the organic. But in general, talking about in general, one of the or good thing about the farms is like we call like we are conventional farm, but really we work with a lot of organic products, because for example in our farms we try to work. We don't use any herbicide in the farms. We clean the farm just with labor, local labor. And for example, we have a problem in our farms because we have an insect we call broca, and this insect eat the bean. And then we try to manage with our organic products to control this. We use a lot of tramps, because in the tramps is like we use some alcohols, and alcohols is like attragants for the insect, have some fragrance, and then the insect, like the fragrance is very similar to the fragrance of the coffee. And then the insect look this, and we use like a plate, and we put some like a gum, and then the insect come and stick in the plate. And we use, for example, because we produce and we process coffee, and then we have a lot of pulp of the cherries. And one of the things we tried every year is to pack this pulp in the farms. Then this is the way we work like an organic, because we send all the pulp to the same farms.
And one thing that we always say, the quality starts with the soil. So as a producer, we have to take care of the soil. That's why we don't use any herbicide. We don't use any insecticide. We clean, because we clean all our farms in a manual way. So we work our farm as organic, but we cannot call organic because we use fertilizer. But in all the ways, we try to take care of the environment. We try to plant shade trees, because in the future, we think that the coffee without shade trees cannot grow in many years ahead.
Yeah, and in another way, one of the or main goal is that trust. Yeah, that trust, because means like we don't have the certificate, but for us it's more important the relation with our customer. Means if we say our coffee, we don't use herbicide, we don't use a lot of chemical products, we want to translate this to our customer, and then our customer trust in us like we work in some way, because the certificate is just paper. Just because the certificate say it's organic, is not completely trust, like it's 100% organic. And then we work more in the relation with our customer.
And every year we apply organic material to our soil, because the plant took some materials to eat, so we need to replace with organic materials. So we use pulp, we use cow manure and chicken manure in our farm.
So I'm going to next question. This is from Eyüp. He asking you, how do you evaluate the difference between South America and especially Honduran coffees and the Ethiopian coffees with their own observations? And Turkish consumers are love, especially Ethiopian coffees, and they consider those who don't like Ethiopian coffees to not understand the coffee. What do you think about it?
Again, can you tell us about that?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, how do you evaluate difference between South American coffees and the African coffees? Eyüp Bey asking because Turkish consumers are love especially Ethiopian coffees, and they consider those who don't like Ethiopian coffee to not understand the coffee. What do you think about it?
Let's go, if I understand in the correct way the question. Look, for us, we know after many years working in coffee, we understood it's different. It's very difficult to compare one country with another country. Yeah. Especially, I never tried to compare Honduran coffee with Ethiopian coffee, because Ethiopian coffee, they are the place where the coffee born, and then they have like original varieties. They have a very good soil, very good environment, very good condition of the soil to produce coffee. And then in the natural way, they don't need to do too much to have the best quality in the world. And then it's very, very difficult compare with the coffee with like African, like Ethiopia or Kenyan coffees. And this is almost the same. Try to compare South American coffees with or Central American coffees. Because sometimes, for example, Colombia have similar coffees to like Honduras, or Honduras have the similar coffee to Colombia. But the way like they promote the coffee with Juan Valdez, they make like everyone in the world know about Colombian coffee because they have a very good way to merchandise the brand. In Honduras, sometimes probably the person in the world don't know too much about Honduran coffee and a special coffee from Honduras because the government in Honduras, they try to push more in like a volume, like a blends. And then this is the way, like every countries have different way to see how promote. But we believe like if you work in a very nice way, the coffees in Honduras, the quality will be the same like in every country and around the world. And it's the same in all the countries. And then we try another time, we try to work in a relationship with our customer and to show our customer how we work, how we process the coffee. And that way they know how is our quality. And then like we try to promote like everyone when are drinking our coffee, they have a very good imagine about the coffee and they can see our face in every cup of coffee the people drink.
I think it's very difficult to say which coffee is better than another because for me it's like a different taste, different flavors. As Moises said, it's different to say which one is better, Kenyan or Ethiopian, because are totally different between they are very close countries. But I love Ethiopian coffee, but I love Kenyan coffee. It's a different way of coffee. Or for example, if you tell me about Costa Rican coffee, Ecuadorian coffee, Peruvian coffee, so they are great coffees, but are different. The thing is that I cannot say I like this one more than this one because all of them I like, but in different ways.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the question.
Actually, that is the actually good answer. This question came to here because lots of Turkish consumers think about the South American coffees and the Central American coffees taste like sweet or taste like chocolatey, nutty. They think usually like that, but it's not because I drink so much fruity Honduras coffees and Colombian coffees and Brazilian coffees, which is example your Catuai coffees. Latanir is really fruity, really complex, and the Caballero Lot 5 is really tea-like coffee, and it's very different. Both of our Catuais, but it tastes very different.
Yes. Yes, I remember because my father, we bought some of his farm, as Moises said at the beginning, but my father had his own farms and we have our own farm. And you cannot say which one is better than the other. We have different coffees. Both are good, but I cannot say which one is better than other.
Yeah. Also, other question is related last answer. The question is like that. The origin of the coffee in your country dates back to 1700. It is known that you lag behind your neighbors in the competition due to political will prioritizing to production of bananas and the quality control problems in the coffee cultivation. In the last 20 years, international promotions, improvement of the nurseries, training activities, and train young people on coffee and similar things are known. It is known that 3 studies have been carried out, but do you think these studies are sufficient? And do you think there are other things to do for improvement? It's very long.
No, not. Can you help us to tell the question?
To assume the question.
Yes.
Mr. Ayub says, the origin coffee in your country dates back to 1700s. And it is known that you lag behind your neighbors in the competition due to political will prioritizing the production of bananas and quality control problems in the coffee cultivation. In the last 20 years, international promotions, improvements of nurseries, training activities to train young people on coffee, similar things are known. It's known that 3 studies have been carried out, but do you think these studies are sufficient? Do you think there are more other things to do for improvement to Honduran coffees?
Okay, I will say some of them. Then you ask me more. Because at the beginning in Honduras, I remember when I was a child, the highest farms was like 13, mostly 14,000 before. So the altitude wasn't so high as is now. I remember when Moises arrived to Honduras and he started to buy land, the people say, he's crazy because in that land, even the corn doesn't grow because for the people was too high to plant coffee. So the plantation of a high altitude have been increasing. Now in Honduras, you have coffee from 18,000, 17,000, 16,000. That is one. Another thing?
Probably is, if another time, if I understand in the correct way the question. And many years ago, one of the major production in terms of agriculture to export was the bananas. Because the bananas, they planting in we believe are the best land of production. Very efficient, very good condition to produce. And then the coffee was another way to produce something, especially in the mountains. Because one situation in Honduras is the country in Central America have more mountains. Then means it's very difficult to grow any product. It's very difficult because to produce, for example, corn is not very efficient because it's not plain land. And then they use the best land to produce bananas.
In the North Coast.
In the North Coast. But since the time passed, the bananas in Honduras, for many situations, some are political, some economical, many things happen. And then the production start to decrease, or the big companies start to move in another place. For example, some countries in Africa, in Europa, they start to help to produce bananas and to buy more banana for the countries they're colonized. and then they left to buy coffees and buy bananas in Honduras. But in that way, we have one institute. The name is iCafé, and they start to make a very good job about how produce better varieties, how start to promote, to teach the people, the normal people, to take care of the coffee. And they start to promote in like early 2000, like the competition for specialty coffees. And they start to help to teach and to create, for example, a school for coffees. And they start to have some school for try to teach the son of the producer how manage the farm. And then, of course, we need to make, to run a long way to have the best schools, the best people teach, the best condition, but we are working in a correct way to promote and to have, to know how implement new techniques in the coffee, new varieties. And then I think so, the Institute, they make a very good job in that way.
For example, Moises said when he arrived to Honduras, Honduras produced in that time around 2 million bags of coffee. Now Honduras produce 9 million of coffee. So it's the work that the Institute have been doing.
It's like another example is when I arrived in Honduras, and Honduras, they have only one copper.
In all the country.
All the country. Now they have 100 of coppers.
1,000 of coppers. And another thing, we are the biggest producer in terms of quantity. We are the biggest producer in Central America.
And I don't know if it's that way
the question.
Yeah, that is the question and that's the answer. Thank you.
Okay.
Now, this question is from Emre. He asking you, when we think about the negative effects of the global warming on coffee production, what await us in the future? How many years can we drink good coffee?
Different. It's a very, very difficult question and a difficult answer. Of course, like in everywhere, we have a very hard effects to how the climate change.
Yes.
And probably you can read in the news, Honduras is one of the more weak countries in terms to the effects for the climate change. We are in the way to a lot of hurricane pass, and then means we are very weak in that way. And another way, the problem is sometimes like a producer, we are not prepared to cultivate coffee in the best way. Sometimes we want just cultivate coffee and produce, but like Marysabel said in one time ago, we try to have a control in the environment. And of course, like another time, like Marysabel said, 20 years ago in Honduras, the line of the production of coffee was, the top was 1,400 meters. Now you can find in Honduras some place like they produce almost in 1,900 meters. And every time we are grow for have more or better coffee, we start to move up. And some people say, and probably we can have good coffees in the next 50 years. After this, if we continue with working in the same way, probably will be less time, and then but was very difficult for us produce, and it will be very difficult for you to try to find very, very good coffee.
Yes, because when you are moving up, you are replacing the forest, and it's not good for everyone. So we have to have, as Moises said, a control. That's why we were talking about to take care of the soil, because the soil is very important, not for today, not for the next year, not for in 2 years. It's good to take care of it for in 10 years ahead. That's why we have a project to plant 10,000 shade trees, because as I told you before, in another way, you cannot grow coffee under the sun completely. Yeah. I am talking about in 10 years, 15 years. So you have to think in the future now, because if you don't work now, it will be super, super difficult. You know, we always have I always say an example. You know, Moises, when he arrived to Honduras, he bought one mountain just to take care of the water, because we have spring water that goes to the mill, just for the mill, for the coffee. And he bought that one. When he came to Honduras, if you see the other side of that mountain that he bought only one side. The other side, you can count the trees that still exist. So it's so sad. And the Moises side is completely a forest. And look, even that we have a lot of water to work the coffee, because we have one spring water just for our coffee, but we are thinking in the future. Now we are changing our mill to use less water than before. We are used like 20,000 less water that we used 5 years ago, even that we have a lot of water, but we have to think in the social way to clean the water that you use. So we have to use less water to clean less water. Not think that I'm going to use all the water and throw it away, the water. No, because it's your environment. It's what you have around you, and what are you going to have in 20 years? And what your kids are going to have. What are you going to leave to your kids? So it's many things. I think that in the climate, if you ask us now, what is your biggest challenge? We tell us that the weather, because we cannot do nothing, but we can contribute in it. It starts in yourself, because there is no another way to survive, to have good coffee. I'm talking about in quality terms.
Also, the next question is a little bit related with the last one. It's from my friend Ismail. He asking you, has the Honduran government taking any countermeasures against the global warming to protect farms?
Yes, now in this time, the government, you have to have a permission to cut some trees. Yes, in some ways, the government have helped to conserve the forest, but I think they don't have a lot of ice in every mountain, so it starts with everyone.
In legal terms, I can tell you now the government have more controls in terms like if one person want to start to plant a new area, they leave you to renew, but it's very difficult to cut a forest for planted coffee. Now we have a lot of regulation about this.
Yes, that is good. And with the water too. They have more control with the water, but
I'm going to next question, and this is the last one. Also, I'm asking to our consumers, do you have any questions? But I'm right to talk about the last question. What do you think about fruit-infused coffees? Do you heard it before?
to what?
Fruit-infused coffees.
Fruit.
Yeah, some farmers put the fruits in the fermentation tanks when they ferment the coffees. Usually
we
that
hear
coffees
about infusion. The infusion. Like they have like a last week one symposium about this. We don't have too much experience about this. We don't have too much, but we do some very small, very tiny experiment about this. And in my opinion, you will need to try the coffee in the more natural way, like the coffee is. When it's like when you want to try a very nice orange juice. When you add sugar, now don't taste like an orange juice because you change the flavor. And then sometimes the people want to change like the natural create. In my opinion, it's very difficult, but we don't have too much experience about this. We have, for example, the last year, we made some new processing coffee. For example, like anaerobic coffees, semi-anaerobic coffees, but that's it. Nothing in infusion. We don't have experience about this.
But Moises he always says that you have to work in a very simple way, in a very neat way as the products are. But sometimes the market, sometimes some customer ask you some way to do it. I was telling him, we have to do as they want. So if some customer ask us to do it, we do it. But nowadays, as Moises said, we haven't tried and we haven't done.
Yeah, in my opinion too, the other thing is to do this kind of experiment, you need to know how will be the change in the chemical terms about the change in this. In general terms, like a coffee producer, the level of education in a coffee production is very low. And then we don't have experience about the talking about the chemical reaction in the coffees. And then we don't have too much talk about the infusion because we don't have experience in this issue.
I had taste before fruit infused coffee in Colombia. I went Colombia 2 years ago. I tasted that coffee at the Master of Coffee competition, and we are disqualified that coffee because it tastes like lemon, but it's very artificial taste, right? It really tastes lemon. It's not taste like coffee. Yeah.
And
also, socialistic wrote about that. You can find that Perfect Daily Grind.
Yeah. I hear about something about this. Yeah.
So I'm asking the participants, do you have any questions to Marysabel and Moises? If you have any question, you can open your microphones.
I am good, Orkun. It was a great conversation.
Thank you so much, Levent.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for asking my question.
Yeah. Soracak mısın soru? Açtım mikrofonu ama. Ha, kapadı.
Ay, yok.
Tamam.
I just said thank you for asking my question about the infused coffees.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. No, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you for.
Yeah, the reason I ask is actually, they can introduce new aromas or flavors by infusing to the coffee cherries. So that's an issue, I guess, because there is not enough transparency, and most of the farmers that does this process do not tell the end users that coffee is infused with a fruit or something. So there's no transparency in this process. So that's why I wanted to ask you about this question as a farmer, as a producer. Thank you so much for answering the question.
Okay.
No, you're welcome. We hope that our answer was what did you ask?
Yep. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So that's it. Thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure and honor to having you guys.
No,
thank you for inviting us to this this meeting, and our hope is like you can enjoy all the cup of coffees you can drink of coffees, and our challenge is for the next year to provide you and your customer the same quality or better quality compared with this year.
Yes, no.
And you are very welcome after the pandemic when you want to came to visit us and to see what is the work we do in the farms.
Yes.
I hope I will come to Honduras someday.
Yes,
you are more like a welcome.
Yeah, it will be very, very, very happy for us to have you, and thank you for this opportunity to talk with all these people. And every time you want, we are open and we are happy to talk. We like to talk a lot, so you have to stop us to talk. And one thing that we want to say is that we hope that you enjoy every cup of coffee, and remember, in every cup of coffee, there are many hands working. We are only just the face of that cup of coffee, but there are a lot of people and a lot of effort and a lot of love of people working in one cup of coffee.
We have lots of comments, our chat section. Thank you so much, guys, for the comments. Yeah, and that's it. See you guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
Have a nice night. Thank you
Rest
so much.
Thank you.
Have
Bye.
a nice morning, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, see you.